My mother-in-law canceled my cancer treatment appointments and said, if you die, he can marry someone better. My husband just nodded and said, it's easier this way. I faked a breakdown, then returned with documents that made them both tremble. My name's Heather. I'm 38. I've lived in Garland, Texas, my whole life. I married Jared when I was 26. We met at a friend's wedding, dated for a year, and tied the knot. I thought he was kind, funny, patient. I thought we were happy. But looking back, I think I just wanted it to work so bad, I ignored the red flags. Jared's mom, Carol, never liked me. She was the kind of woman who thought her son deserved a princess. Not a normal girl like me who worked at a local bookstore and liked quiet nights. She always made little comments. Like the first time I cooked dinner for her, meatloaf and mashed potatoes, she said, "Oh, you cook like my cleaning lady." Simple, plain. I laughed it off. After our third year of trying and failing to have kids, she got worse. "Maybe your body's just not built for motherhood," she once said while folding laundry I hadn't asked her to touch. Jared told me to ignore her. Said, that's just how she is. Fast forward 10 years. I started feeling off. Tired all the time. Bleeding when I shouldn't be. Sharp pains. I finally went in for a checkup. The doctor ran tests. Came back with a grim face. Cervical cancer. Stage 2. I remember the way the world tilted a little when he said it. I remember gripping the edge of the chair. But Jared was right there with me. At first. He came to my first chemo session. Sat next to me and rubbed my hand. But even then, I felt something off. He wasn't present. He kept looking at his phone. Then he stopped coming. Said work was too demanding. Carol stepped in. She started showing up every day. At first, I thought it was kind of her. But then she started taking over. She answered my phone. Took over my appointment scheduling. Told me to focus on resting. Something felt wrong. It wasn't until my third missed treatment that I knew something was happening. I showed up, and the nurse said, "Your husband called to cancel. You said you were done." I didn't say that. I confronted Jared. I asked why he canceled my appointment. He just looked at me, cold and flat, and said, "It's easier this way." That sentence burned. It stuck in my head like a needle. Easier for who? I asked. He shrugged. For all of us. You're not getting better. I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That night, I heard Carol outside my door whispering to him, "She's wasting away. If she dies, you can finally marry someone better." And Jared replied, "Yeah. Someone who can give me a life. A family. This is easier." I recorded that. I hid my phone under the bed. Then, I faked a breakdown. I acted like I lost it. I screamed, threw things, cried like a maniac. I stayed in bed for 2 days. Refused to eat. Carol called a family friend and told her I was slipping away. Once they thought I was completely broken, I packed a bag and left when they were both out. I took a cab to a motel on the far edge of Dallas. Paid cash. No one knew where I was. I called my sister, Rachel, who lives in Chicago. She was the only person I trusted. She flew out the next morning. Rachel took one look at me, pale, weak, thin, and broke down crying. But she didn't waste time. She got me in with a specialist. Paid out of pocket. Took me to appointments. The new doctor said I had a shot. But I needed consistent care. Real support. She also got me a lawyer. Turns out I had a lot going for me. I had updated my will years ago. I had a trust fund from my dad that Jared didn't know about. I had documents. But most importantly, I had evidence. Texts, call logs, and those whispered conversations. And I had witnesses. Nurses who remembered Carol calling to cancel appointments. I stayed away for 2 weeks. Let them think I ran away to die. Then I came back. Looking worse. Wearing oversized clothes. No makeup. I acted confused. Tired. Like my mind was slipping. Carol acted sweet, sickeningly sweet. Jared barely looked at me. I said I wanted to settle things in case I didn't make it. I asked them to meet me at a lawyer's office to go over my estate. They didn't know my sister would be there. Or the lawyer. Or the documents. Or that I was secretly recording the whole thing. I looked Carol in the eye as the lawyer laid it all out. Every detail. Every call. Every cancelled appointment. Every cruel word. Jared turned pale. Carol started yelling. Said it was a mistake. A misunderstanding. Said I was confused. But I wasn't. I looked right at Jared and said, "You wanted me gone? Then get ready to live with nothing." And that's where I'll stop for now. Because what happened after that was even better. When I walked out of that law office, I didn't feel powerful. I felt sick. My hands were shaking. I hadn't slept well in weeks, and my body was barely holding together from the treatment. But I had something they didn't, truth. I moved in with Rachel. We rented a small house near Plano where I could rest and get treatment quietly. She stayed with me every step of the way. I never told Jared or Carol where I was. I blocked their numbers. Changed all my accounts. New phone. New email. I was a ghost to them now. But they didn't give up. 2 weeks after the confrontation, I got a letter. Jared filed for divorce first. Not because he wanted to. Because he thought he could control the narrative. His lawyer claimed abandonment and mental instability. I laughed. Then I forwarded every recording and every document to my lawyer. Turns out Jared didn't know what kind of lawyer Rachel hired. Her name was Monica Ray, sharp, ruthless, and absolutely terrifying in court. Within days, she filed a countersuit and a motion for emergency spousal protection based on medical neglect and coercion. That got media attention. A small article popped up in the Dallas paper. Local woman accuses husband, mother-in-law of interfering with life-saving cancer treatment. Jared's job found out. He worked in finance for a big company in downtown Dallas. They put him on leave. Carol's social circle found out, too. Church friends. Bingo group. Bridge club. Her name was being whispered about in the worst way. She tried to kill her daughter-in-law, one neighbor texted Rachel. We don't want her at Bible study anymore. But things didn't stop there. One night, Rachel came home with a weird look on her face. She'd picked up the mail. There was an envelope with no return address. Inside, there were photos. Photos of Jared. At a bar. With a woman. I didn't recognize her at first. But then I remembered, her name was Macy. She was the receptionist at Jared's gym. Blonde, 20-something, Instagram model type. Jared had once joked she was sweet but not the brightest bulb. Turns out he was dating her. The pictures showed them kissing, holding hands, at a hotel together. One photo showed them laughing in a pool while I was supposedly dying. That's when the anger really hit. I sent the photos to my lawyer. She added them to the case. But it got worse. Rachel found out that Carol had called my insurance and claimed I was incompetent to make medical decisions. She was trying to become my medical proxy behind my back. She said I was having mental episodes and was making up stories about her family. They wanted to put me in a psychiatric hold. Have me declared unfit. I almost went numb hearing that. I was dealing with chemo side effects, weight loss, hair falling out, and they were trying to say I was losing my mind? My lawyer called an emergency hearing. She brought in my doctors, my oncologist, even my therapist. They testified that I was lucid, making my own choices, and being targeted. Carol showed up in court in a beige suit, fake crying. Jared sat beside her in a dark blazer, acting like a concerned husband. But when the judge played the audio, the one where Carol said, if she dies, he can marry someone better, Carol turned red and started yelling. That's out of context. The courtroom went dead quiet. The judge looked at Jared and said, "You nodded and said, it's easier this way. Is that you on the recording?" Jared tried to lie. Said, "I was overwhelmed. I didn't mean it." Too late. The judge granted a protective order. Carol couldn't come within 500 feet of me. Jared was warned that if he tried to make contact, it would be seen as harassment. That should have been enough. But I still wasn't finished. After the court hearing, things were quiet for a while. I focused on treatment. My hair was gone, my energy came in waves, but the tumors were shrinking. The doctor said the new chemo was working better than expected. But I knew it wasn't over. Jared had one weakness: money. He liked looking successful. Driving flashy cars. Wearing designer watches. And when the media caught wind of the lawsuit, he started losing clients. The firm let him go. Not officially fired, but they froze his bonuses and pushed him out. That's when he tried to get sneaky. He had a joint savings account under both our names that we hadn't used in years. Just a few $1,000s. I left it alone on purpose, to see what he'd do. One morning, I checked it. Empty. All of it transferred to a different account. I traced it through bank logs. He created a fake LLC. JWM Investments. Transferred the money there. That gave my lawyer an idea. She hired a forensic accountant. Within a week, we found more. Jared had funneled money out of our home equity line. Took out secret loans in both our names. He forged my signature on 3 different documents while I was undergoing chemo. And he used that money to buy Macy a used BMW and rent her an apartment in uptown Dallas. I was stunned. I thought I was ready for anything, but this? He'd been preparing to walk away with everything. Let me die. Move on. And steal from me while doing it. Monica filed charges immediately. Bank fraud. Forgery. Financial abuse of a spouse. But then, something even darker surfaced. One night, Rachel sat next to me, holding her phone. "Don't freak out," she said. But I found Macy's Instagram. The account was public. Full of post selfies. Food pics. Yoga pants. And one video that stopped my heart. She was filming Jared at some fancy restaurant, and she said in this fake sweet voice, "Babe says we're gonna move to Florida soon. Can't wait to start over and forget all the drama with his crazy ex." Then Jared looked right at the camera and said, "It'll be easier once she's gone. She's got months, not years." Rachel and I just sat there in silence. He didn't know I was still in treatment. Still alive. Still fighting. He still thought I'd be dead soon. That video became the final nail. My lawyer requested a restraining order extension and filed additional criminal complaints. This wasn't just a divorce anymore. It was a full-on civil and criminal case. But I wasn't done. I had one last move planned. I just needed the right time to strike. It took me 3 more months to get strong enough for the final move. I finished my last round of chemo in early February. By then, my hair had started growing back, and I'd gained some weight. I didn't look like the ghost they thought I was. While Jared was busy flaunting his new life on social media, I was working with a legal team and a private investigator. I wanted justice. Not just in court, I wanted it to sting. Here's what we did. The investigator dug into Jared's finances. Turned out, he was already behind on the payments for Macy's apartment. His car lease was maxed out. Credit cards were frozen. His new job offer in Florida? It didn't exist. He'd lied to Macy. Said he was moving for a promotion. We reached out to her anonymously, through the investigator. Sent her the truth, photos of me in treatment, court documents, evidence of his fraud, and the recordings. 3 days later, Macy dumped him. But not quietly. She went on a live stream. Told her 40,000 followers that she'd been dating a monster who left his sick wife to die. She called him a liar, a thief, and a sociopath. She cried. It went viral. Jared tried to call me after that. I never answered. Then came court. I showed up in a dark blue suit. Hair cropped short, face clear. I looked healthy. Alive. Jared walked in behind me, gaunt and nervous, with a cheap suit and hollow eyes. Carol wasn't there. She'd suffered a stroke 2 weeks before the trial. Rumor was, she collapsed after learning her church had cut ties with her. Karma. In court, the judge heard it all. The medical neglect. The cancelled treatments. The fraud. The forged documents. The fake LLC. The attempt to have me declared mentally unfit. Then the judge turned to me. "You've survived more than most," she said. "And you've done it with courage and intelligence. You are not only a victim here, you are also your own rescuer." She granted me the divorce. Jared was ordered to pay over $200,000 in damages. His bank accounts were frozen. He lost everything. The house? Signed over to me. The trust fund? Protected. Carol's estate? I had no claim, but the court issued a civil protection order keeping her far away for life. But the best part? After the trial, I filed a complaint with the Texas Bar and state prosecutor. Jared's actions weren't just immoral, they were illegal. 6 months later, he was arrested for financial fraud and identity theft. He took a plea deal, 3 years in prison, 5 years probation, and full restitution. He's in Huntsville Correctional Unit now. I checked once. His mugshot made me smile. As for me? I kept going. I kept healing. I sold the house and moved to Austin, started a nonprofit that helps women in abusive situations get legal help. Rachel's on the board. I've spoken at 2 conferences. And I'm in remission. Sometimes I still think about that night I heard them whispering outside my door. If she dies, he can marry someone better. Well, I didn't die. And now, I'm living a life neither of them can touch.